The man. Sorry.
You can keep singing if you want.
Oh wait, I'll have to turn my headset on. There we go. How are things, Steve?
Great, you can keep singing if you want. Everybody loves when you sing.
I mean, I don't.
You should,
I was being somewhat inappropriate, so I don't want to.
you know.
I was cursing.
Thank you, everybody, for being here on this Monday afternoon when we are not at work. The markets are not open. Man, I wanted to go live and hopefully, give you guys something to watch, hang out with us for a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Chels, what's going on? See, I should be more like Chels. See what she said? Just got out of my Pilates class right on time for the milkman and Maddie Moolah. Now, I need to go to the gym again. I really should start going to the gym again. We're going to see what happens. Thank
Steve,
you. Oh, Lena's here too. Midwest is here. Thank you
that's
for being here.
hitting the gym or something is an even better if for me because literally a month ago I wouldn't have been able to wear this shirt. So, I'm doing good things so far. But the that is the next aspiration. That is the next piece in 2026 that I want to add on. Anyway,
Michelle is here. Michelle, how's it going? Thanks everybody for being here on this impromptu stream. Um, we're gonna figure some things out. So, Matt, what do we think is going to happen tomorrow? I mean, Trump sends a letter to Norway now. What are we doing? What do we think? Is this a taco event? Is this going to be real?
What was the Norway thing? I missed that.
We're gonna have to find it on X, but he sent some letter. I think it was Norway.
I did see Amit's post about European markets, and I saw a couple other people post about European markets. A lot of stocks are down, obviously, anywhere between 3 to 7% from what I saw. Rock Lab is down as well, which is good. I don't mind it going back down a little bit. I'd like to buy a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, I think it's not too different from when we talked last week. I think it was on the Tuesday stream last week, so literally just over a week ago, or just under a week ago. I was thinking something was left to drop, right? I mean, I didn't necessarily know it was specifically going to be about Greenland, but this administration leaves okay. I saw Chris Patel write a little comic strip about this.
I mean, all we have to do is go to Amit. I don't even bother checking anyone else's thing. Amit is so on top of this. I gotta tell you, on Saturday when we are at the sports card convention, we're at lunch. Amit was working at lunch, and he must have fired off 3 tweets or 4 tweets. Like, this guy don't stop. Like, you guys think I work a lot? Amit don't fucking stop.
Anybody that there was somebody, I forget what it was. It was like they were trying to drag him in or something like that. And I was like, I don't think you guys fully understand how committed this guy is to the community and his project and just making sure. And I don't think you guys even if there's we're all humans, right? So there's always some internal conflict. I hate Steve one day, Steve hates me another. Amidst this, what does this mean for me and my project? And I'm going forward, right? There's no. So anyway, I just love that passion from him. It's inspiring. I need to be more like, does this actually matter? This little bickering here, a little bickering there, or is the project more important? And you guys can drag the guy all you want, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to come for your throat. So there you go.
Yeah, he doesn't stop. His work ethic is amazing. He's an inspiration to everybody for his work ethic. So I don't know if this is going to be a taco event. I don't know if this is going to be dragged down for the next week or two. I do think eventually it'll pass. Unfortunately, I have a feeling that this is going to become a spectacle tomorrow, and it's going to be really freaking interesting to see when the futures open tonight what's priced in. So I don't know. What I do know is you guys are ridiculous. Keep it coming. I mean,
it's tough. It's a tough market to get into. Amazon's selling milk now. So,
I mean, you guys are awesome. Love the thumbnails, love the memes. It's hilarious. And I got beef with Warner Brothers right now, Matt,
Why is that?
because A Night of the Seven Kingdoms sucked last night.
I was gonna say, was it because Chris Patel's like bucketing every single streaming thing under one? I think he's doing like Disney plus Hulu plus HBO. But now, was it not good?
Dude, it was so bad. Industry, I don't know what the hell they did last night. I was not happy last night with Industry. It was a good freaking show, but last night's episode, it was just too much. It was too much.
Too
But
much, like sensory overload, or just like you couldn't keep up with
no,
it,
too
or
much of the theme. Like they didn't go into like anything else except sticking on just the freaking tragedy of two people's marriage, and it was just crazy. But I'm hoping to like. I really liked the first episode. Second episode left a lot to be desired, but that's to be for Warner Brothers.
Because I'm like almost done season 1 of Industry. So season 2 and season 3,
Awesome.
they're both amazing. Are they better than season 1, or because season 1?
I think Industry gets better as the seasons go on.
Okay, well,
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see.
I haven't watched the Seven Kingdoms yet, so
I think the first episode was horrible. I cannot wait to see what Dougie Dallas has to say because he's a huge Game of Thrones fan. Huge.
Is he? I never talked to him about it.
Oh yeah, he sent me a message last night saying that it's starting tonight. So, Michelle, don't you watch Game of Thrones? What did you think about it? I'm pretty sure a lot of people in our community watch it. What did you guys think of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms last night?
You know what I need to do now that I've watched Game of Thrones all the way through? I think I need to go back and watch it uninterrupted, because I was one of those people that didn't watch it at the beginning, and then 3 to 4 seasons in, I got involved. And so I watched like seasons 1 through 4 all in one. And then I think I skipped like season 5, so then I had to watch season 5 once that was out. And then I followed along with season 6 and 7. And I think it was only 7 seasons. And so yeah, I think I need to rewatch from the beginning to the end. So
you don't watch all Game of Thrones again?
I think so.
It's gonna take you a lot of time.
Oh, what do we got there? The blueberry?
It is.
I need to go get some.
I'm channeling my inner Michael Weston right now. Although I'm not eating yogurt, I'm drinking the blueberry pomegranate.
I was thinking about getting something to eat before the stream, and then I was like, you know what? I'll just wait till after the stream. I have a hard stop at 2:30 my time, so 3:30 Eastern. So you can keep going, but I need to run off and do something.
I got some milk. I got some milk. I got some work I have to get done.
Yeah,
I was about to say I have some milk I have to drink.
That's always obvious for you, but is it Chris Patel?
No, it's my office line.
Even on MLK Day, time doesn't stop. They're like,
well, I have my office line. So the cool thing is I put a telephone system in that every line has its own dedicated application, and you can put that on your phone, your tablet, your computer, and have your office anywhere you want, and it's completely separate. So if you dial out from it, the office number shows up, not your cell phone.
That's kind of badass.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. It's freaking awesome.
Is that like a third party, or did you do that?
No, it's when I ran the RFP, that was one of the things I was looking for in a company-wide system, and it's such a badass app. It's amazing.
There you go. So what do you think about this, Steve? I think the markets, I think it'll be tough. I mean, I don't think it's going to turn around this quickly. I think it's going to be another thing where it's a week back and forth, but it seems like, just from what I've seen, and once again, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm just talking about how this pertains to the markets. It seems like the EU, which was violently opposed to this whole like Greenland thing, and potentially understandably so, it seems like some of the leaders have backed off a little bit and are playing ball to which I think it might not be as big of a thing as it once was kind of proposed. So do you think that there is some sort of leeway? Do you think it's like actually going to be binary, like one or zero, or do you think it's going to be kind of like what's going on with China? It's going to be somewhere in the middle. There has to be a deal to be made. Trump, he tries to go to the absolute extreme and he tries to meet in the middle. Like, if you think about it, do you think is there a middle ground where the US and the EU are both happy? And that would then cause the markets to then rally like we saw on Liberation Day.
So I'm not sure what time the Nikkei opens, but that's not even down 1% right now. So I'm not sure if it's actually open right now or not. It's
Like 4 or 5,
closed.
4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah. Right now it's closed. So maybe it opens at 5 p.m. or so. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to take my cues from that, see where that opens. But look, this is a midterm year. Trump's not going to risk, I don't think he's going to risk an all-out downward decline in the market. Short term, sure. Stocks supposedly are going to sink because of the turmoil. It's fueling gold demand. I mean,
oh yeah, silver's on an absolute run.
yeah. Now, we have a timeline. So, January 4th and 5th, Denmark's government publicly pushed back on Trump's renewed rhetoric about Greenland. On 9th, Reuters reported that Trump said the U.S. needs to own Greenland to deter Russia/China. The 13th and 14th, Reuters also reported high-stakes diplomacy, including senior-level talks involving U.S. leadership and Danish Greenlandic officials. On the 17th, 2 days ago, Reuters reported Trump vowed tariffs on 8 European nations tied to support for Denmark/Greenland. And then yesterday, large protests in Greenland and Denmark reinforced that a purchase path is politically non-viable locally. And then it looks like today reporting indicated that EU is weighing stronger countermeasures. And Reuters and the AP reported Trump doubled down publicly, which I did not see, linking escalation of broader grievances and reiterating that it will be done. There's a lot of risk here. I like to think that he is a deal maker and he is going all out and will settle somewhere in the middle. I really don't know. I think going after Europe like this is not the best idea. But at the same time, I don't have the information that he has. And I do understand why he wants Greenland, I think. And I don't think that Europe's in a position to play chicken with us. So this could be really volatile for a couple of weeks. I don't think it'll last more than a month or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you just hit it. Like the tariffs are going to be imposed potentially on 8 different nations. France obviously ended the day down 1.8%. Germany lost 1.3%. Futures obviously still don't look very good. Gold still hitting all-time highs. Silver $94 an ounce. Like, it's just insanity what's kind of going on with respect to that piece of it. What else is on here today? Oh, this is interesting. Brussels global growth 3.1% for global growth 2026. Interesting. It's the IMF warned specifically that increased protectionism, referring to new tariffs, fiscal vulnerabilities, are the primary risks for the government's global steady state. It urged policymakers to rebuild fiscal buffers and preserve central bank independence.
I mean, I got to think that the tariffs, if Europe really does impose tariffs, it's only going to impact tech. It's not really going to impact other sectors. Maybe it does, but I think tech would be the big one. And when I include tech, that's obviously communication segment with Meta and Alphabet. But I got to think that when push comes to shove, Europe is going to be in a position where they're not able to go tat for tat with us.
Mhm.
I just think that we have too much buying power. Their economy matters so much more on us than our economy mattering on them. So I don't
Mhm.
know.
No, I agree wholly. Like when I go to the EU or I've been to other places, like it seems like there's always local brands from a consumer standpoint. Yes, of course, there's still going to be a McDonald's or a Burger King or whatever in the UK or Germany or where it have you. But I think that the internet-based technology companies, like you stated, are definitely something that are irreplaceable or not basically easily to bypass when it comes to society these days. Like I anticipate a lot of those folks over there are using either an Android or an iPhone. With that, obviously they're connected up to Apple products or to Google products most likely. Um, so yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think the biggest place that they can have leverage right now, which is it's a double-edged sword, and it once again goes back to United States LNG,
I was
because
just gonna say, you know better than anybody what the real trump card is here.
yeah. So the real trump card is like if they actually do impose some sanctions, and they, because to give people some feedback, right? Russia is no longer able to supply EU gas, right? So they basically had to stop all spot LNG sales from Russia to EU. That has now happened. By the middle of this year, I believe it is all pipeline gas, or maybe it's one of two additional things. By the middle of this year, it's like June or July 1st of 2026, they have to stop supplying pipeline gas from Russia to the EU, or they have to stop all LNG contracts in total. So, granted, the reliance on Russian gas has gone down dramatically since obviously the United States has stepped in, and a lot of their export facilities have been able to start sending gas over to the EU, and obviously because of the Ukraine war. But who's to say that if relationships, which were already tough between the United States and in the EU, mostly the EU despising the United States before this whole Greenland nonsense, then you know there was always kind of that: are we over reliant upon the United States? I think the United States supplies about almost just under half, between 40 and 50% of the natural gas, and then I think it's like 15% or so of the oil that goes to the EU comes from the United States, because the United States has really sweet crude, sweet meaning low sulfur content, very easy to refine. So they prefer having something from the United States than say Venezuela, which is very sour, has a lot of sulfur content, might be good for making heavier, heavier carbon materials, like heavy plastics or even tar or something like that for roads, but not good for say making ethanol or not ethanol, making just normal petroleum products like gasoline and things like that. So anyway, there's that. So that's another piece into it. Maybe it's a deal where they guarantee that they're not going to risk US LNG, or I have no idea. But there's so many avenues that they can take this. But I think the thing that's going to hurt the United States the most potentially is if they have any sort of sanctions from the EU side on US LNG or technology. And that will obviously, in the short term, I think it might be a lot of headwinds, but in the long term, I think everything will be fine. The United States and EU have always been partners and allies when it comes to the majority of our nations. And so to me, it could be a great buying opportunity, specifically in LNG. I think that that's going to be a good buying opportunity if something gets disrupted. Not only that, but you've seen Henry Hub prices spike because we're in a polar vortex, as people are probably starting to hear. So Henry Hub prices have spiked, and then it looks like natural gas prices in the EU are starting to trend downward, because apparently it's not going to be as cold going into February for them. So anyway, sorry, a lot of information.
No, it's great information. Look, you're in the business, so it's great to hear your take. In my opinion, that's the true trump card. That Europe is dependent on the US for energy, and that's something that he can pull out at any time. They can't buy from Russia.
Mm.
And Europe has really damaged themselves going the whole solar route and discontinuing natural gas fired power plants and other things. So they're really not in a position to push too hard. So I think that this is going to get volatile in the short term. It'll be another liberation day. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Are we going to see the market go under 6,000? Maybe.
I
But
think
does
so.
that mean that we're not going to be 7,500 to 8,000 by the end of the year or past 8,000? No. I mean, every time the market dips and gets into a bear market, there is a correction on the other side. I mean, here's the real question. Is anything that has been done in the past week, is that going to lead toward a permanent downturn? The answer to me is no. Now, I have dry powder on the sides for moments like this. And if we go down 20%, is it going to suck seeing a lower number in your brokerage count? Sure. The real question is, are you positioned for the other side? And I got to tell you, these things don't worry me. I do believe that this will get bought up and create an opportunity for people to make good investments and get great companies at a lower price. And here's the other thing. We're heading into earnings season. Is this really going to overtake companies expanding earnings and giving great guidance for 26? I don't think so. I'm just not worried about it.
Mm. Interesting. I mean, my question for you, Steve, do you think you said below 6,000, right? Do
Yep.
you think that below 6,000 is that because you have spin-offs of what's currently ongoing, or do you think specifically the situation we're in, the 10% tariffs going to increase in February 1st, or was it by July? I don't remember what exactly the tariff implications were, but do you think that piece alone could drive us below 6,000? I feel like that it's not enough to really put the market
No,
in
I'm
a
just
down spiral.
making a generalization
Okay.
because the reality is we could go into a bear market
Mm-hmm.
because algos could get ahead of this. You could get a lot of people selling, stop losses being hit. Who knows? This could also be a nothing burger. We could be up at the end of the week. The one thing that we do know, if the market is down going into midterms, he's likely to lose at least one of the two. I don't think he's willing to do that. I think he's willing, we've seen this before. He's willing to have short-term pain in order to get what he wants, and then the market is going to turn around. We saw it in the first administration. We were in a trade war with China in the first administration. So you just got to be ready for this. I mean, let's see how much the markets are down tonight. Is it going to be 1,000-point day tomorrow on the Dow? I don't think so. Maybe it is. I don't think so, though. I don't think it's that bad. Nothing is set in stone yet. This is all hearsay.
Mm. It's tough, Steve. I mean, it's tough to say if this is going to get worse before it gets better. Right now, it seems like it seems like with Georgia Maloney kind of saying, I stand with Trump. I mean, she's not saying obviously let Trump have Greenland, but I think she's like, don't make it an us versus them conversation. We're partners, we're allies. Let's make, I think that more people are starting to view it that way. I don't know. I'm not educated enough to take a stance on it. It's an interesting sort of piece. I see parts of both sides, but I'm not educated to make a stance on whether or not I believe what Trump is trying to do is right or wrong. But I think it's a broader thing, regardless of whether or not I believe it's right or wrong that the Greenland should be part of the United States. I think it's part of a broader strategy. I think it's about understanding and getting more deals done with the EU, and I think it's not strictly about Greenland. But I'm like I said, I'm not educated enough on it. I think you're right. I think that there's a lot of underlying economic factors that play into this a good bit, whether that's NATO payments, whether that's the US LNG. Um, I just think that it's not specifically about taking ownership of Greenland. I think there's a lot of other things that are derived off of it, but I don't know enough. I could be completely.
Look, I don't want to talk about politics per se, but the reality of this is Trump does things with very specific reasons. And it's not always clear in the beginning. And he always has a plan, whether people agree with the plan or not. He always has a plan, he always has an objective, and he tries doing multiple things to bring that objective together. What is this week, Matt?
What is this week? What do you mean?
Davos.
Good point.
Okay,
Yeah,
everybody's
so-
going to be at Davos. Trump is giving a speech at Davos. Okay, you think that he's not meeting with people this week? This could be a precursor to make people engage with him and wheel and deal. Let's see what happens after Davos.
Yeah, it might become clear. You're right.
All right, so let's.
I knew Davos is this week. I just can't believe I didn't connect the two. That's smart.
Like let's not freaking get silly and get crazy about one tweet, one remark, one this, one that. Let's see what he says at Davos. Let's see who he sits with, and let's see what the temperature is after Davos is done. Okay. We know that he does something for a reason. We know that his biggest fear, or fears plural, is being looked at as somebody who tanked the economy, being looked at as somebody who the stock market doesn't grow under, and being looked at as somebody who can't get deals done. The last thing that he wants to do is not deal with a Republican stronghold. So I just don't think that this is going to linger for half a year or a year. The midterms are too important to him. The midterms are too tight. And the realistic thing is that the Democrats could flip at least one of the two branches, if not both, if he doesn't play this smart. So I don't listen from a political standpoint. I'm not going to get into that. But from a business/investing standpoint, you have to at least discuss politics to a degree. And when I look at this, I don't believe that this is going to be pain that lasts into the summer. Maybe this is pain that'll last into the spring, if that. But there's going to need to be a point where if a downturn happens, it corrects and goes up so everybody forgets about what happened. So
well, it's like Liberation Day, right? Like
exactly.
everyone was like, it's gonna last forever. And it was like it was like somebody took an axe to the market. Like you just see a V like this. Like it's insanity. I can't recall a company off the top of my head that didn't recover from Liberation Day.
100%. 100%. So this is why we say have dry powder and invest in quality. I mean, is this going to impact stuff like Amazon? Probably not. I don't think so. Maybe it does if shit blows up. But I mean, is this really going to impact Microsoft? I don't know. Maybe this is a deal to get people to the table, or a way to get people to the table for Trump to get them to say, knock it off with freaking suing our big tech companies. Knock it the hell off.
That's how they're making, like, instead, like, I don't want to get into that, but it's something that bothers me as well. And I think that's part of the relationships that I was talking about with the EU being sour on the US for a while anyway. It seems like that there's an agenda underlyingly to attack the US technology companies and sue them for billions of dollars for wrongful doing. And I think a lot of it's overregulation in the EU. I'm not as well versed on it as I probably should be talking about it, but it's something that has always bothered me. It's like, why is this country suing Google for $1 billion? Why is this country suing Google for $1 billion? It's like, instead of being able to generate tax revenue by allowing a conducive environment for them to grow their own unicorns and their own technology companies. They're just getting that tax money through suing the big US tech companies, which how how neutral is that? Not very neutral at all, in my opinion.
And this could be a way that he gets everybody to the table. And maybe this is a strategic plan. And look, obviously, I have no freaking information. Obviously, nobody consulted me. Okay. But they may have consulted the White House quant, but not me. Now, if it turns out that this is all a ploy to get people to, or get countries to stop suing Alphabet, Apple, Meta, I gotta tell you, I should go buy a freaking lotto ticket, because this feels like that's what this could really be about. Because does he really think he's going to get Greenland? I don't know. I don't think he does. I think that's something else.
I think so. I think it's something else.
And we know that big tech is cozied up to Trump. We know that he wants big tech to succeed. We know that he talks to a lot of these CEOs all the time. So this could be on their wish list. Get the damn EU to stop fucking suing us. Who knows?
Yeah. What do you think about these Japanese interest rates? Do you think this is going to be another carry trade or whatever that happened last year? You think it's a nothing burger?
Nothing burger. Just like the Japan yen carry trade was a nothing burger, and I said it was a nothing burger when it happened. This is going to be another nothing burger.
But do you think it's something that the market's going to hang their hat on and view, especially if Japan starts to? Because look what happened to the U.S., right? I mean, granted, this is much different. We went from basically negligible federal funds rate in mid 2022 or early 2022 to over 5.25% within the matter of 18 months. Now, that is obviously vastly different than what is going on in Japan. But they are thinking about increasing rates above 0.75 of a point. You don't think that that's going to have eventual implications on some of their bank solvency? Do you think that a lot of those banks are actually well capitalized? I don't know anything. I'm just asking a general question.
I don't follow their banks or know anything about their balance sheet, so I can't answer that question. Nor would I even try to speculate on something I have no freaking clue about, as you just put it. My speculation is that they're not going to tank their own fucking economy and banks. They're too smart for that. So are they going to raise rates? Who the hell knows? But if they do we really think that they're going to put their banks in a situation where they're going to be underwater? Where's the upside in that?
I don't know. I often wonder why we did it at the expense of some of the banks like Silicon Valley and many others. Granted, yes, Silicon wasn't necessarily the best well-run bank, but even still, I'm curious if there's also potentially some smaller banks in Japan that are also potentially at risk associated with this. And is that eventually going to be a ripple, just like how it was a nothing burger in the United States eventually? Do you think it'll have a similar impact in Japan, which have a ripple effect, obviously, on the global economy? Japan obviously is a large economy in the world, not as large as nearly as China or the United States, but it still can have a ripple effect, and it could also just spook investors in general.
I think it could.
I think it's something that just to potentially keep an eye on. I don't think if it's actually going to do anything.
100%. I think it absolutely could. I just got to think that they're smart enough to not tank their own economy. That wouldn't make any sense. It serves no purpose. So I can look into it. It's just not something I really concern myself with.
Steve keeps talking about these burgers, these nothing burgers, and I haven't eaten yet. So,
well, I mean, listen, I'm a bull at heart. I think that ultimately what really matters is corporate earnings and the trajectory of earnings and revenue. And I'm not seeing Japan raising by 75 bips impacting U.S. companies such as Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft. I'm not seeing it. So I think it's a nothing burger. I really do.
There he goes about the burgers again.
Listen, I love my burgers. What can I say?
I mean, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Interesting. Well, I had a question, and I'm curious what the chat's thoughts are as well, because I keep hearing about Iris Energy, and I keep hearing about all these other companies, and we talked a little bit about CoreWeave yesterday. We talked a little bit about Nebius. Do you want to go into that? You want to talk about something different?
Whatever you want, whatever you want to do, Matt.
I don't know. I'm just looking. I feel underweighted to this data center build out, and I don't know why I do. Maybe because I'm not as cool like you and I don't own Nvidia. But I don't know.
So where do you want to go with this? You want to go data center build out? What I think about it? Like what do you want to? You tell me.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't know if I want to get.
Are you having regrets? Because you've done pretty well. You I don't think you should have regrets considering you got Rocket Lab and it's a 90 something. All right. You've done pretty well.
I don't have regrets. I just think, is there an opportunity to still be involved in this data center build out that could take potentially a decade or more?
Yes.
And so I feel like I'm not weighted to it. Yes, I have Amazon. Yes, I have Google. And I know you're playing it through Nvidia, but is there another long-term approach that you could take that you could still make 3x or 4x your money over the next 10 years?
Did you see the article I put on X?
No, actually, I didn't see it come through, which is surprising because I was on X like all last night before I went to bed and this morning.
All right. So I'm going to bring it up. I'll put it in the chat, but this is the exact thing that I discussed. I put it out late last night.
I'm surprised I didn't come across it. It's like normally as soon as you send something, it comes across to me.
So if you're interested, give it a like, give it a read. Let me know what you think. Chels, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So let me share my screen real quick. So you can go read on your own. I'm not going to read it word for word. But once again, I went after the bears again. And I said that the AI trade is alive and well. And look, the big thing is the TSM numbers. And we touched on this briefly. The reality is that they spend $40.9 billion on CapEx. They're now projecting 52 to 56 billion in 2026. And they're saying that over 30% most likely. To me, they have the clearest visibility in because their largest customers are NVIDIA, Broadcom, and AMD. Maybe Micron also, but for them to spend that type of capital, which is going to increase their costs on an annualized basis going forward because it's more things that they have to upgrade, fix when they break, maintain, et cetera, probably more people they got to hire. They're not doing that if this is just a 1 or 2 year thing. To me, that was the last piece of the puzzle that fell in place. And we know that between the combination of backlog and RPO, just from Oracle, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Amazon, is about 1.2 trillion as of the end of our Q3. We're going to get new numbers from them in a couple of weeks. I think RPO expands. I think they accelerate CapEx spending again. And I think that this is something where it could now have 3 to 5 years. I keep increasing my duration. In the beginning, I said I thought this was about 24 months. And then I said, you know what? This could be 2 to 3 years. Now I'm saying, and that was a couple of 2 years ago. And I keep increasing it a little bit. And I've always said, at some point, it will happen where CapEx stops going like this and it just goes like this, and it could even start dipping. And I want to be out of NVIDIA before that happens. I don't think that it's anytime soon anymore. I think it's a minimum of 3 to 5 years because the big four and even Meta, who's not a public cloud facing company, they're telling us that they have to build out so much. This isn't, you can't build a data center in weeks. You can't build a data center in months. So to me, this is a trade that just keeps going. And we have no idea what the demand for compute is, except for what they're telling us, like what Jensen and Lisa Su said at CES. And then you have to think about full self-driving coming online at the same time. You have to think about the implication of robotics, from humanoid to droids to automation in warehouses. So we're going to need more and more compute. Where I'm at on this is NVIDIA, all roads lead back to NVIDIA. So I have a big position in NVIDIA. I think that you can go, my opinion, Amazon, which I own, Meta, which I own. I think Alphabet has run a lot. I think they can still do good, but not nearly as good as these other ones from here, because they're already a $4 trillion company. When we were talking about this and I was banging the table, they were a $2.2 trillion company. And I said my fair value was about 280, 290 because it put them at the same valuation as Apple.
Same.
Now, there's some secondary plays, Vertiv, you can go energy. I don't think they're as easy to make as NVIDIA, though. To me, NVIDIA is still the king of AI. And the reason I say that is because I've never seen a company, and keep in mind, I will change my mind when the data tells me to change my mind. I was an NVIDIA bear, okay? Tanner, I give him all the credit in the world. He tried, it's recorded, it's public, it's on YouTube. He used to try to convince me to buy NVIDIA. I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. ChatGPT.
Blind spots. Yeah.
Dude, he was right on the money the whole time. ChatGPT moment came a couple of months after, or maybe a couple of quarters after the numbers started improving. As I said to Tanner, they're not growing. Because there was a 2-year period where their revenue did not grow. And I'm like, I think that it's overvalued for what it is. Boy, was I wrong. And I changed my opinion when the data showed that we should change the opinion. I think it's very inexpensive here. And when I look at where more than 50 analysts are projecting everything to be, I think this still has a good amount of room to run. And to me, it's probably the easiest play for me to make in the whole data center scheme.
But is that, I didn't want to cut you off. You're finished. Yeah?
No, I'm done.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. And
hold on, man. Jesus Christ. Good for you, sir. That is a worthy investment that everybody should know about. Congratulations. I love seeing that. That's amazing. Amazing.
Hopefully it was 10K shares, not 10K, 10,000. But
either way, fucking
great win. Can't complain.
10K at 24 and it's at freaking 186. That's amazing.
Great win, my man.
Great win. I love seeing that.
I have 2 questions. Yeah, I love when people share that sort of stuff. It fires me up. It reminds me why I'm doing this sort of stuff. Is to like truffle pig out some of these great companies, like I'm trying to get to, right? And about that, so where do you think the terminal limit is for NVIDIA? Do you think it is only a $10 trillion company? Because we're at 5 now. And what I'm basically trying to get after, Steve, and is I don't disagree with you. I think that NVIDIA can grow from here. And when I hear you and Tanner talk about it getting potentially to 250 to 300, I don't scoff at that. It's like I used to. I agree with you. I see that there is going to be the need for that. But I guess I'm just curious. I mean, I can't see, I'm stuck in my own head, right? I'm in a quagmire because I see the need for NVIDIA. I see the need for continued growth in their chips department, and not chips department, just their chips, etc. Yeah. But I'm sitting here like, is it really going to go to 10 trillion? Is it really going to go to 15 trillion? And then I'm sitting here like, is that just unfathomable for me to kind of quantify in my head, and that's why I'm struggling with it? And then to get back, this is a 2-prong sort of question, because I think we're both exploring this as we kind of go along, which is fine, and that's part of business. You said that very comparable to what I've said in the past, which is there will be a dip eventually, and you want to be out before that. I feel like while I agree with what you're saying, there will be a dip, and I've been unwavering about that. If you are so convicted, I don't see the need for Nvidia's chips to just be in a negative place. Like, are you just saying you just want to take profit temporarily? You want to sell out of the whole position? It seems like that's what I hear is I want to be out of Nvidia, meaning out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like, in 15, 20 years, I feel like the need for chips and the revenue that you're probably going to get from Nvidia, while it might dip, and yes, while I believe it'll be cyclical, do you really think it's going to be a smaller company than it is today, with robotics being as big it is? And with that, not only do you have the robotics piece and the chips associated with those, which are obviously going to need to be frontier and with NVIDIA powering those things, you're also going to have a lot of data coming in from those that you need to interpolate and explore. And so that just leads to more data coming in from more devices. And I just don't see an area where NVIDIA slows down, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So for me, I'm trying to explore, is this eventually a 15, 20, $25 trillion company? Am I just being naive? But on the second side of it, if you truly believe that this is the company to own and it will power robotics and it'll power everything else in between, then humanoid robotics, I mean, and warehouse robotics, etc., then why would you want to sell even if there's a slight dip? Because the market's going to pull it back 40-50% and you can get back lower? Or what is, I'm just trying to understand the whole thing.
Okay. So remember, when I say dip, I'm not talking about share price. I'm talking about the CapEx expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's where I'm at with this. These are the hard numbers. I'm going to go through some hard data for everybody. This is Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta, their CapEx expansion. In 2024, they added $77 billion to their CapEx allocation, and it grew 55% year over year. Okay. That was a big year. 2025, trailing 12 months, CapEx expansion has grown by 52% year over year. Okay. They've added 112 billion compared to where they were the entire year of 2024. Based on the Q3 earnings call, where these companies are expecting to come in, which is this last column, when Q4 is announced, it is expected that they will have grown their CapEx allocation year over year by 63.19%, which would be 137 billion. We know that these companies are projecting that 2026 is going to be a larger CapEx expansion, maybe not by percentage basis, but it's not going to decline. It's still going to grow. Whether it's 50, whether it's 100 billion or 100 billion plus, they're going to be spending more on CapEx, which is more chips and servers from NVIDIA. Now, when you look at the cash from operations from these companies, the ones that have expanded their cash from operations are Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, not Apple. Apple has not invested in their CapEx. As long as these companies keep seeing growth in cash from operations, I think they're going to keep allocating to CapEx. Now,
fucking Amazon, dude, look at that.
Amazon's such a fucking beast. There is a very specific one I want to find, so just give me a sec. It ties everything into what you said.
Dude, this chat is just hysterical, dude. It always fires.
The chat's always amazing. It's hard for me to do both things at once. It really is, because I love interacting with the chat, but when I start really thinking about all this, so for everybody who was bitching and complaining that, oh, you're just doing calendar year, you're making assumptions. Well, okay, cool story. I am no longer doing calendar year, okay, and making everybody's lives easier. So you're going to have to do some math. NVIDIA reports on a fiscal year that ends in January, not December. So January 2026 is when you get their Q4 results. It's really their 2025 year, but because 1 month is in 2026, this is technically fiscal year 26. And in February, they'll start their 2027 fiscal year, even though it's really 2026. Anyway, Microsoft is on in June, Costco's on in August, Apple's on in September, Broadcom is on in October, and then Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, and Netflix are on a traditional calendar year basis for earnings. When I think about companies like freaking Walmart, okay, and I've said this before, Walmart does not deserve a 45 PE on this year's earnings. Now, Walmart is a perfect company to compare to NVIDIA because they're on the same reporting table. They're both January 26, not December 25. So they're at 45 PE current when NVIDIA is at 39.5. And then over the next 2 years, NVIDIA has 106% EPS expected growth from the analyst community. Walmart has 26%, yet NVIDIA trades at 19 times and Walmart 36 times. That doesn't make any sense. Now, one of two things is going to be true. Either Walmart is drastically overvalued and NVIDIA is very undervalued, or NVIDIA is fair value and Walmart is overvalued. I think when I see numbers like this, and then you look at Costco, same thing, low earnings growth, and it's at 39 times forward earnings. I'm sorry, but NVIDIA's got so much growth ahead of it. It's hard for me to give it or say, you know what, these numbers make sense when you have companies that have minimal growth trading at a valuation that's light years ahead of NVIDIA. Now, if we actually look at when I share it like this, it doesn't freaking update. So give me 1 sec. And I'm going by the analyst community for a very specific reason. I have my own thesis. Everybody knows my thesis about Taiwan semi mega caps with the RPO and backlog. But when we look at the actual EPS and revenue growth, let's stick with revenue growth. 53 analysts for this year, 63 analysts for next year. I don't know any other companies that have 63 analysts covering it. The midpoint is that they're going to grow their revenue by over 50%. So they're going to add $110 billion in revenue next year, according to 63 analysts. The low end is 226, which is ridiculous, and then 412 on the high end. And then for the following year, you got 48 analysts. And the midpoint is that they get to 409. So you're saying that they're basically going to double their revenue in the next 2 years. They have a 56% profit margin. Even if they give up some margin, and here's the big thing. Let's say they give up some margin to increase sales and they get down to 50%. On 400 billion, that's 200 billion net income. We've never seen that happen with a company before. So do I think that NVIDIA can get to 10 trillion? Yeah, I do. Now, 4.5 trillion right now for NVIDIA, I think is too low based on profitability. And I do think we get to 10 trillion before the decade is over. We may even get to 10 trillion in the next 3 years. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but they would have to beat the midpoint estimates for that to happen. You look at EPS growth, the 56 analysts are expecting them to grow their EPS by 62% next year. Think about all the buybacks they're going to do. They can have no debt. What do you do making 150 billion in profit next year with no debt? You buy back a ton of shares. So I'm not seeing this train stop for at least a couple of years. And each year that goes by, I may say that I'm expanding my horizon of when the CapEx spend curtails another year or two.
Mm.
I don't know what I'm getting out of NVIDIA. I just know that I want to be NVIDIA. And right now, it looks like at least another 3 to 5 years. Maybe that changes in 2 or 3 quarters from now, for
Yeah.
better or for worse. But as of right now, I think that
Mm.
we are still in the early stages. And even if you didn't invest in NVIDIA 110, I still think that this is a company that can still do well and people can outpace the market on. Now, I could be wrong on that. And I'm on the lower end of where they finished this year than other people. I think they finished this year at 250. Tanner and I have a gentleman's bet at that. He believes it's going to be more. He thinks it's going to be closer to 300, maybe exceed it. But even at 250, which even by these numbers wouldn't be that crazy, because if we go back to my spreadsheet with earnings, if we put a 250 number on NVIDIA right now instead of 186, are you ready for where the forward number is? 26 times. So let me ask you this. Would you pay 26 times forward earnings for NVIDIA with all that growth?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
And that's why I think 250 is a solid price target that's not out of the realm of reality.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, with the momentum that you're seeing right now, I definitely can understand why you're saying, I'm not, fearful of where the valuation is, and I think it's undervalued. And I think you'd be able to, I think, tell, especially because you're so in depth with all the Mag 7 quarterly earnings, that you'll be able to tell if it really is actually slowing down way before there's actually a panic, I believe. Unless you just see a massive cut on like Facebook or Meta's or Google's or Amazon's capex in one quarter, then that, of course, might spook the market, to which may have ripple effects. But it goes back to my question, and somebody hit it in the chat.
No, I saw it. I'm going to answer it. I would,
Go for it.
Me personally, I'd rather be in NVIDIA than a derivative at this point, because I don't know that the derivatives in the second and third order companies are going to get the notoriety. I don't know how much they're going to grow. And I just don't know that they're going to be able to outperform NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. Because if my available options are NVIDIA versus Vertiv, or NVIDIA versus Eden, or NVIDIA versus an energy company, because those should do well, NVIDIA versus Caterpillar, which should do well, things that would make sense that they would do well with an expanded build out. I still want to be where all the eyeballs are and where I understand the business model and I can handicap to a degree what I think the growth is going to be. So I would rather be in NVIDIA than the other ones.
And that makes sense, because you also are taking into account the potential buybacks as well. So even if it doesn't need to, even if it doesn't, say, get to a $15 trillion market cap, with all the buybacks, that's still going to be eating away 1% here, 2% there, the total share count, which, when it does, say, double or triple in terms of the amount of earnings that they have, is only going to increase their stock price, substantially. So I don't know. I see what you're saying.
I don't think you missed the boat, is what I'm saying. If I thought you missed the boat, I would be exiting my position and redeploying that capital somewhere else. But I'm still looking to add, because I have a weird amount of shares and I would like to have a round number. So I'm looking for an opportunity. I need to do a few things, but I do want to add a substantial amount of shares before I consider it a position I'm no longer adding to.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Now, that doesn't mean that Nebius isn't going to do well or CoreWeave isn't going to do well. And I did start a position in Nebius. I don't have a big position in Nebius, but I did start one. I'm looking to add more. It's kind of the same theory. I think Nebius is going to do really well, because I don't think that the hyperscalers can handle the build out on their own.
No, I don't either. And that's why.
And you could look at doing like a 3-tier approach. NVIDIA, Nebius, and call it a Vertiv or somewhere. That way you get direct, adjacent, and second order.
Yeah, you could.
Because I would consider Nebius adjacent to NVIDIA in a way, and Vertiv second order, or you can consider it first, second, third order, however you want to look at it. But you could do something like that with a 3-tier approach. And that way you basically get everything covered from hardware to direct build out to components going into the build out.
Yeah, that's it's, I don't want to say it's comparable to what Gemini was suggesting, but Gemini was just like, why do you have to be in one, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be.
If you could be in both, and it's like it kind of, you know, play off of each other, especially if they're both going to succeed, likely, right? Like the thing that the problem that I've always had with like investing in like a sector ETF, right, is, for example, is if I were to buy like a semiconductor ETF, then there's likely, you know, depending on the quality of it, right, there could be dog shit semiconductor companies in there that are going to drag down performance. So exactly what you're stating, like if you and it's so much easier it is these days than when I first started investing, you know, 12, 13 years ago, when it was like $15 a trade. It was like, well, you couldn't really do baskets. Right now you can do baskets very easily. Yeah, that could be a good, not a horrible idea, is to start a basket and find a conglomerate of a bunch of different companies that I think are going to do well. And instead of worrying about which one's the best, just say, do I think that this company will outperform the S&P based off of what I know and the risk? Then yes, and then add it to the basket. I don't know.
I mean, only you can prevent forest fires, Matt.
That's what they tell me. But it doesn't prevent me from stop smoking great cigars.
I mean, you do smoke good cigars. Now,
I was actually thinking about going to, I don't know, 3 cigars in 3 days. That might be too much.
I mean, that's up to you, man.
Maybe I go explore another cigar shop today. I don't know.
I mean, that's 100% up to you. I think that this AI trade is not stopping anytime soon. So if you want exposure to it, I still think you have time, and you do have exposure. I mean, you're in Amazon, you're in Alphabet, so you're in it. It's not like you're not in it. Look, I still like NVIDIA here. That's just my own opinion.
But I still don't understand. Sorry if you explained it and I'm just being dense. Like, if you think it's going to be that great of an opportunity, why do you care if there's going to be a slight slowdown in CapEx if you think eventually CapEx will continue to grow?
Yep, I did not answer that. The reason is because I think the narrative will shift so dramatically that it'll take these companies down 30%. I think that narrative will create a bear market, which will be a big opportunity. And I think that if I can, and look, this is not a good way to go about things, but because you're really trying to time the market, and I hate trying to time the market, but I do think that there will be a landslide event, and that will be the cause of a landslide event when CapEx goes from expansion to maintenance, or even a little bit of a declining, because then you'll get the narrative that NVIDIA is no longer selling as many chips, it's not as viable, et cetera, et cetera. What are they going to do? Because now their chips are so good, they're going to last for 5 years before you need upgrades, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the narrative will take it down on its own. And I don't want to be in it for that.
So you don't think it's going to be like a $1 trillion revenue company, like it was kind of stating in Seeking Alpha, where like by 2035 it'll be $1 trillion revenue?
I don't speculate out that far.
So you can't. So let me see if let me play it back from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
You don't know, but you're consciously confident that you believe that it'll double, it potentially get to $400-500 billion revenue, but at some point you believe there's going to be a leveling off. You don't have enough foresight to be able to understand whether or not that means it, say, levels off and comes down and goes back to 200, but eventually when it comes to maintenance mode, let's say it goes back to 400 and kind of just stays there, or if it's going to persist through and eventually go to a $1 trillion market cap, or not $1 trillion market cap, $1 trillion revenue or whatever. Is that what I'm kind of hearing? And so for you right now, your opinions can always change, and then, you're entitled to that. But based off what you know right now, you feel like the you're confident in the opportunity getting to 400, 500 billion in revenue. You'll be able to make a lot of money off that. Buybacks, obviously margin expansion, which I think just even at even with it is 2 years out, trading at a 22 PE, 25 PE, I think that the premium nature of the company warrants that, right? I even believe that an Apple should be trading at something like that, if they're able to forecast out in 2 years and have a 20. And same thing with all these companies. I don't know. I see what you're saying.
I have your answer. My answer is I'm not smart enough to know when the party is going to end. So I am monitoring it very closely. And just as I have expanded my horizon, I may continue expanding my horizon for the next 10, 15 years of when this is going to end. As of now, I think we got 3 to 5 solid years left. And if it looks like CapEx is going to slow down, I'm going to seriously evaluate either taking my initial investment out or exiting the position. But I could continue dragging that forward because eventually I think this is going to mimic the DRAM cycle. I've seen too many of these chip cycles in my lifetime that I do believe this becomes a boom bust cycle, just like with hard drives and just like with DRAM. When that happens, I have no freaking clue. But if we look at Micron, this is a perfect company to look at because DRAM is in everything. Now, this is a 10-year chart or 5-year chart. In 2024, it got up to close to 150, and then it came down to 65 in April. But before that, when the market was still doing really great, it was down to 90 because DRAM hit a boom bust cycle. If we go back 10 years, you've had peaks and valleys, and you go back max, look, it reached 88, 96 on a split adjusted basis back in 2000, and then you had a dead era. Technology was still growing during this era. Dead era. And then big bump, down. 36 down to around $10 or so. So at some point, I think this will become boom bust cycles. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm paying attention to it. But right now, the numbers and the valuations on NVIDIA are so compelling that I do believe it's going to continue to do very well for a while.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it. You definitely have given me some thoughts. And part of me has never felt the FOMO because I am still involved with Google. I'm still involved with Amazon. And I think Amazon's going to have a phenomenal year. I think you're right. Google, I think, is too much run. And same thing with Chris Camillo said the same. He's big on Amazon this year. On Dumb Money, I think I might have said this yesterday, so apologies if I'm repeating myself. But he said on Dumb Money that he thinks Amazon's going to have a phenomenal year. Google's run up a good bit. So it's tough in that respect. But you might be onto something, Steve. Like, it might be that I just continue to play the Amazon, get my money in Amazon. Maybe I create a basket. Maybe
there's nothing wrong with that.
But at the same time, you are hitting something on the head, which is like I've always anticipated will be cyclical. I think you and I are both on the same page about that. Your time horizon on when it's actually going to dip is longer than mine. I'm still cautiously optimistic that we'll see a slight slowdown this year. I don't know if I'm starting to see, just because there's so many data applicants, but I think, and this is where I'm kind of confused, and I don't know if it's FUD or if it's real, but I've started to see some cancellations in some of these data centers, and some of it's permit related, right? So I haven't seen anything with respect to being like it's too expensive or anything like that. I haven't seen any of that. But at the same time, I've seen applications starting to come back rejected because of the power supply, etc., being an issue for that potential township that they want to build it in. So there's that piece. Whether or not that actually continues to persist, if that's FUD, I don't know the answer to that, but it'll be fun, man. I think this year is going to be a lot of fun because regardless, you and I cover Google, you and I cover Amazon, so it will be a lot of fun to be able to kind of focus on where it goes from here.
Yeah, I think the real question is, do we think it's going to stall out this year? My answer is no. Based on what you said, there's nothing wrong with adding to Amazon. I think Amazon becomes a $6 to $7 trillion company sometime in 2029. I think it triples from here because all they have to do is get to an 18% margin. They're at 11.2. Okay. 6.8% is not hard for them to move in 3 years on margin based on AI and robotics. And at that point, if the analysts are true about $1 trillion revenue in 2029, 180 billion operating profit puts them at 6 to 7 trillion market cap in my mind, because we already have companies doing 130, 140, and they're 4.5 trillion. So based on where companies are today compared to where Amazon is going to get to, I can see Amazon doing that in the next 4 years. So I think it's fine continuing to add to Amazon. I love Amazon. I'm still going to add to it. I think it's undervalued.
I think Amazon is 30% undervalued with where we're at today.
Easy.
Because I think what ends up being caught, and I think this has been something I've said time and time again, is when you look at the ops cash, it's not too dissimilar from Google. So could it be a $4 trillion company? No, I don't think it's worth $4 trillion today, right? Of course, I'm buying it knowing that it'll be a $10 trillion company one day. But I don't foresee it being worth, because of the fact that you appreciate all this warehousing, etc. There's kind of drag associated with that. But in terms of ops cash, it's only like 15% less than Google. So to me, the valuation should be right up there. Should Google be a $4 trillion company? I don't know. I think that's a little stretched too. But knowing that it's going to continue to grow, then I don't know. That it's always about forward looking, right? So to me, I just think that Amazon's gotten the short end of the stick for quite some time, and you showed it just a moment ago on your spreadsheet that their ops cash has grown massively over the past 4 years.
Massively. So I want to get to these real quick.
Not to say everyone else's hasn't, but
yeah,
it's grown more than everyone else's.
So Enver, thank you very much. Peptides in New York trend, next healthcare wave, HIMSS. I think peptides are going to be huge. I would love to go on peptides. My wife will murder me if I do. I think finding companies like CRISPR and companies like HIMSS with peptides, I think that there's going to be a healthcare renaissance over the next decade that we're not ready for. And I'm not smart enough to know who's going to win. PB, thank you very much. Did you see that game time past Chicago QB did? I did. Craziness. I also think that one of the worst calls I've seen in football happened to the Bills. I'm not a Bills fan, but I'm sorry. That was a catch. That was a fucking catch. Period. But
are you referring to the pass where they had a wild celebration dance after?
The tumble?
I don't know. I don't remember which one it was.
Where the ball got ripped out of his hands right after they landed?
I think so. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve.
I don't know, Matt. So, any other topics you want to touch? We got 15 minutes before you have to skedaddle.
What am I getting for dinner?
Ooh, I think you go with the good filet.
Yeah, I didn't get the filet the other night that you wanted me to.
People freaking sleep on the filet. We're like, oh, ribeye. Yeah, ribeyes are good as long as they're not too fatty. A lot of places have so much fat on the on the ribeye. It's not for me. I don't want the fat. I want the freaking filet.
Some places do have a big fat cap on the ribeye.
I don't want the fat cap. A little marbleization in there is freaking great, but the filet.
You got me thinking. I need to take myself on a nice date real quick.
You should.
Or maybe.
At the bar. Bring your tablet, bring your earbuds, watch The Compound and Friends, watch All In, have steak. All right, so we got some questions in the chat.
Yeah, let's do a little
Lena,
Q&A.
ONDS. ONDS. This sounds familiar.
On us. Yeah.
I don't know much about it. It's a very small company. I'll look. I haven't done a lot of research on it. It's 24 million revenue with a 5 billion market cap. It's just, I don't know.
That one's interesting about Ondas. I mean, I need to still go through their investor day that they had last week. Just based off the drone business alone, Steve, I just can't see it. But what everyone is now saying is that they're going to be trying to be the Broadcom of like defense, where they're trying to add new companies on that are very bolt on, etc. So if they're right, I can foresee it, eventually powering through, and being worth something. But that's a big if, right? And that requires execution, right? And that's tough.
I'd rather buy One Stop Systems if it comes down than that. I mean, OSS is 261 million market cap, and at least they're doing 60 million in revenue. I did have somebody look into it for me, and they're interested in engineering. So.
Steak, please.
Rusty, thank you very much. Matt, this is you. What is the effect on companies such as VG when Henry Hub prices pump such as today?
Yeah, so people need to recognize, good question, because I think a lot of people get this mixed up. It's about the spread, right? So there's one of two things, right? There's the actual contracts that are signed that VG makes money off of the facility, right? The facility themselves, which those are generally sold in many moons in advance. The upside for something like a VG in next decade is they don't sell every single drop or molecule that goes through the facility. And so they have the opportunity to then sell that at what they call spot prices. So spot prices is pretty much the difference between what you can buy the gas for at Henry Hub and where you can sell it in Europe or Japan or wherever that gas is necessary. Generally speaking, it's measured on a TTF, which is the EU title transfer facility, or Japan, JKM, Japan Korea marker. And so what you're pretty much looking at is what you can get it on the boat for. So there's obviously buying the Henry Hub gas. Let's just say it's $3. Plus what you can get it on the boat for, which is obviously going to cost you the liquefaction fees on the facility. So let's just say it's $2.50. So just alone at $3 plus $2.50 for liquefaction fees, it's going to be $5.50 for it to get on the boat. Then you obviously have to pay for the shipping costs to get to and from, whether it's the EU or Japan, etc. So that is what you're trying to look for. So if Henry Hub all of a sudden spikes to say $6 or so, then you have $6 or so for the base Henry Hub price plus the $2.50 for liquefaction just to get it on the water before you even ship it. It's $8.50. Then you add in the to and from, 70-cent shipping costs to go to Europe. Your margins are pretty small at that point, right? So what you're looking at is, and now of course it's different if say Henry Hub goes to 6, then EU goes to 20 or something like that. What you're looking for is the spread between the two, right? That's where the real cream and of the ice cream really comes in, or the cherry on top of that kind of comes in.
Dude, what type of ice cream?
Lately, I'm a vanilla with peanut butter, either peanut butter chips or what have you in it. I don't know.
Can you try something?
Sure.
Haagen-Dazs vanilla bean.
Okay.
And throw some hot caramel on top. I'm just saying.
I
don't know why people put fudge on top. If I wanted fudge on my vanilla, I would just get chocolate ice cream.
Where are you getting the hot vanilla or hot caramel from?
I mean, you can warm it up a little bit.
Okay. I was just wondering if you had like a
Just
play.
saying. Does wonders.
Peachy Paterno is delicious too. Shout out Penn Staters. The shirt is very Penn State. But yeah, that's where the real cream of the crop is for VG, is that differential between the two. So it doesn't necessarily matter if Henry Hub spikes by 20% if EU prices also spike by 20%. But what's going to be an impact is if EU prices stay the same, if not go down, which that's apparently what's going to happen this week, is they think it's going to be warmer the next couple weeks in the EU, which is going to potentially have a drag on EU prices. And then Henry Hub, because of the polar vortex that we're in, Henry Hub prices are going to spike because of increased demand and gas usage. So likely that you'll see VG and Next retrace a little bit in the next week or two, but I still feel that we're on a good trajectory for the EU to continue to be expensive. And I think this is a short-term Henry Hub spike.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that answer, Matt. Let's get some more questions in here. Let's see. Zeta. I have cash secure puts on it, as everybody knows. I think it's going to be interesting. Chris and I did an episode on it the other week. You can go watch it. Basically, the numbers are compelling to me, so we'll see what happens with Zeta. What else? FTNT and TYL, please. So Fortinet is very interesting. I think Fortinet's a great company, hardware for networking in addition to their software. Cybersecurity is very big. I think they're going to do very well. They want to know about Hood. Matt, are you in Hood?
I have leaps, but no. It's one of those ones that I've wrapped up into crypto where I'm waiting for a pullback. I don't like to time the market either, but I think crypto is very cyclical. Some dust. Get rid of dust. Never mind. So I don't dislike Hood. I think Hood's great, and I'm glad that they've kind of pulled back a little bit. But I think that there's another shoe to drop. The thing that's good, shoe to drop, meaning it could have some headwinds. And Hood is different because they now have the prediction markets, they have options, they have a lot of other underlying revenue streams that help support them, other than just crypto. And so that being stated, I don't think you'll see as much of a drop in, say, Robinhood over the next 6 to 12 months as you would with like a Coinbase or something else that is strictly crypto related. But I've kind of equated Robinhood to be a crypto-esque sort of play. So I hope that with crypto going down, it has a drag on the stock. I'd like to buy more. But I'm also looking at things like Coinbase and obviously BM&R being another one. I don't know what my play will be. Maybe it's another basket of opportunities. But yeah.
BM&R is interesting.
Yeah, I like BM&R. I like Tom Lee, regardless of what people said about him at the. But I didn't watch it, so maybe I should.
Yeah, you should probably watch it, buddy.
I probably should.
You should probably watch it. I see a lot of people talking about sport books. I think DraftKings is in trouble. That's just me. We'll see what happens, but I think DraftKings is in trouble. Matt, what's your update on crypto? You still think crypto winter coming?
Crypto winter's coming.
Okay.
It might be now. It might be the starter now. I don't know. I was really hoping for more out of this peak on Bitcoin this past run. I was like, oh, maybe it'll cross past 100, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
Okay. Interesting. We're happy. I will speak for Matt on this. We're happy to go live on a day like today. I'm just happy you guys are finding this entertaining and finding value out of it.
I love Steve. So I love doing streams with Steve.
Matt's a great role model to society.
He paid me to say that.
Let's see. Silver at 94.
Crazy.
Crazy. I mean, I'm fucking shocked. Crazy. I don't even know what to say anymore, except Stevie Treasure Hunter is going to come at you next weekend.
Stevie Trevor Hunter coming at you live.
Live. Treasure hunting live next weekend. Still got to get another camera.
If anybody wants to, so some people asked about Rocket Lab. I just did a really good video. I thought it was a really well done video. I had a few key points. So some of it might seem like it was read off, but I had a few key points. But I added a lot of ad libs in there. So if you're really interested, there's an 11-minute video. Am I selling Rocket Lab? What do I think the future looks like? You know, that's my thoughts on it. I missed a few things like Golden Dome and a few others, but check it out. It's my best performing video for a long time.
I mean, I don't hate it.
You say Rocket Money.
Rocket Money, man. I mean, you've been right on Rocket Money, so who am I to judge?
Oh, KP99 trying to join.
Just as we're about to end.
He can take over for me because I got to run.
You
want to continue, or if you have to run?
Yeah, I got 30 minutes. Hold on. Shit,
yeah,
Matt, give me 1 sec. Hold on.
Yeah. So where do I think of Microsoft? And then I do have a hard stop in 4 minutes. So sorry, Chris. If I'll leave it to Steve whether or not he's going to continue on after I leave. But I think Microsoft's great. Do I think it's a little expensive? Maybe a little bit, but I think their Azure platform is absolutely phenomenal. While I believe that Palantir is a better product overall for enterprise software, the user interface and the ease of use. Maybe this is because I've been growing up on an Office and everything like that, but the ease of use of Office products is very simple. And obviously has a lot of documentation on what to do. And if you ever have any errors, you can go and look it up very simply. But to me, I think that you get a lot more value out of a product like Palantir. But that's just the enterprise software piece. But then you have obviously the cloud business with Azure is absolutely phenomenal. And then they have the gaming products as well. So I like Microsoft. I think they're going to continue to grow, just like kind of like what we're talking about with NVIDIA. You know, I don't think that the CapEx is slowing down in that respect. So it's hard to bet against Microsoft. It's unfortunately one of the ones that I didn't buy a Mag 7 on. I went Google and Amazon. So I do kind of kick myself for not buying it. But at the same time, I've done well with Google and I hope to do. I have done okay with Amazon, but I wish it had a little bit better performance.
So I have half an hour to 45 minutes. So Chris, I'm going to send you a link now and I will stay on for, I have to leave absolute latest at 4:15. I may have to leave at 4. So if you want to come on for half an hour, I just sent you a link and then we'll do our regular stream tonight. Matt?
Do you have a regular stream with Hot Crew? Oh, because it's Monday. That's right.
Monday, yeah.
I'm still thinking it's like Sunday.
Yeah.
I'll say hello to Mr. Patel and then I'll drop off. I have to hit the mailbox as well because
I'm interested to see what Chris has to say about the whole power thing.
I'll listen to you guys while I'm driving.
And look at Tevis saying that it's a work day. I mean, for us, it's actually a national holiday or federal holiday.
Lucky for me, you guys will be working for me because my stream will keep going.
Oh,
unless you're like, screw this, Matt's off, and then you just click it off. Because you can do that. I've done that before.
Oh, I didn't even know I could do that.
Yeah, you can cancel people. You'd be like, nope, no more.
Oh, shit. Look at that. I didn't even know. See, you learn something every day.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Shouldn't have said anything, Matt.
I should be like, Steve, send me a link. And I just like, while you, it just not show up. And every time you send me a link, just send it to my YouTube audience just so I get streaming, even though I'm not on there.
Shouldn't have said anything.
Now you know. And we got Hot Chris over here. Wants to be involved, but he doesn't want to be involved.
No, he saw the link on WhatsApp. I'm sure he's making sure his mic is going to work when he comes on.
doing his hair, Oh,
The mic is gonna work when he comes on.
oh.
Oh man.
Ugh.
All right. So Chris,
Good to see you, Hapatel.
let's get your I got half an hour. Let's get your predictions on what's going to happen this week. Is this a taco trade, or what are your thoughts on what's going on?
I definitely think this is a taco trade. There's no way around it. I think that the administration, they're very ideological, but at the same time, they also have pragmatism built into how they've done things in the past. And that means that it's more than likely that they go the pragmatist route, but the market is going to have to push back heavily before it happens. Like the question that I have is, at what point does the pushback work? Now, this is something that I was just talking to someone about. This administration seems to be very transactional with how they operate, right? So give me this, I'll give you that, you do this for me and I'll do this for you. And that's just kind of how deal making works. The question is, what are the people that are adjacent to this administration that have been financially bankrolling this administration? How are they positioning themselves? Because if we can figure that out, we know how to position ourselves, right? So if you see some of the Trump administration's biggest supporters, they're also heavily invested in the markets, whether that be in the stock market or real estate or whatever. So in my opinion, if we can figure out how they're moving, we'll know how to move in 2026. Because at some point, they're going to have the ear of the president, and the pain trade is going to impact them, in which case they'll make the phone call. And because the administration is, what I just said, very transactional, they'll probably change the rhetoric. They'll change some of the policies that they have, in which case we just have to piggyback off of them,
So Chris, let me ask you this. Is this a situation where this could be a means to an end to get Europe to stop suing big tech? We know big tech is in Trump's stratosphere now. A lot of them move toward his viewpoints of things. Is this a way for him to get everybody to the table at Davos and kind of stop the attack on American tech companies with lawsuits?
See, that is a level of thinking that's pretty good. Like I think that's the kind of thinking that we need to apply to markets right now, to try to understand what the actual reasoning for Greenland is. I mean, I want to try to give it the benefit of the doubt, to try to just say, you know what, maybe this is part of national security. But every time I do that, I ask myself, there was nothing that we were not already getting from the Greenland agreement with NATO anyway. We could put as many military bases on there as we wanted. We could put enough personnel on there forever. And the thing is, this whole thing with, but we should own it. We should own the land. I mean, maybe
this is where I'm at.
Maybe
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Military, it doesn't make sense because we can still protect from there. We can still protect shipping routes and everything. To me, it's more about minerals. One, two, more importantly, I think it's a ploy. I think this is to bring everybody to the table. I think big tech is sick of getting sued by Europe. And I think that this is a ploy because we have Davos this week. We know Trump's going to be there. We know a lot of leaders are going to be there. He's going to be giving a big speech. I think this is to get everybody to the table and make some type of deal where he'll drop all this shit, but Europe stops suing our big tech companies.
Maybe. There's a couple of things right now. I think everyone is always everyone is looking at Greenland like it's the treasure trove of minerals. Let's start. First of all, this rare earth nonsense. We need to stop that right now. Rare earths are not that rare. They're all over the place, okay? The problem is when you refine them, it's a very dirty process. The Chinese own that market, okay? So it's not like the U.S. does not have rare earth minerals and that, all of a sudden, we produced a lot of rare earth minerals before China came along and did it themselves. The thing is, it's just that environmental process that we don't necessarily want to take on. So this whole thing with we need to go to Greenland and take their rare earths, that is not the problem. Like there's plenty of rare earths out there. You just have to refine them. And the refining part is all owned by China. So that's one problem that we have to confront. So the people that think this is purely about minerals, I don't think that that's the case. Maybe there's a couple of minerals there that could theoretically be very unique to Greenland's geography. But in my opinion, they're not nearly as abundantly necessary as people think. I think it's the crazy thing. It's that refining portion that we have to kind of focus on. So that's that. Now, in terms of security about Greenland, there's something to be said about that, where I think that, yes, Greenland is very important strategically for the United States and North America in general. But at the same time, you're getting everything you want without having to, without the physical ownership. So even from a strategic standpoint, I don't think that's the case. Otherwise, why aren't we going to Saudi Arabia and saying, hey, listen, Saudi Arabia is strategic for us. Give us your country. Or why don't we do that to half the planet?
The Congo with the rainforest and all the natural resources there. Yeah.
Right. So how come we're not asking just to take over a whole bunch of countries that are quote unquote strategic? Like the strategic thing is maybe like a ploy to get around it. So I think you're right in that there's probably a transaction that's the Trump administration wants to have, but they need leverage. I mean, this administration's mentioned leverage like 100 times over. Right. So maybe this is the leverage point that they needed to get some of the reforms that they want from Europe, which is, well, number one, Europe spending way more money on defense. Like that was going to happen with the Russian invasion, but maybe they were slow walking some of it. Now it's almost like they're forced to, because they're, but the question then becomes, it's kind of dumb, because if most of the defense contractors that are sort of in line to get a lot of contracts from this, by making moves like this, the Europeans are more likely to invest in their own domestic manufacturing capacity than American weapons. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like right now, there's all these countries that are trying to pull out, like they're not going to, but they could pull out of the F-35 deal. Do you know how many countries right now they buy the F-35 from Lockheed Martin? Instead, they might go with the Rafale, the Gripen from Sweden. I mean, that hurts our defense industry. We want NATO to have the standard uniform, a procurement process that theoretically should be beneficial to our defense contractors, because our defense contractors make the best weapons, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the camp that there's something bigger at stake, and this is a ploy. I mean, the probability of us buying Greenland or taking Greenland in some type of deal, to me, is very low probability. I think this is just something to get everybody to the table. I just don't know what it is. The first thing that comes to my mind is the lawsuits with big tech. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that this is a nothing burger in the long run. We know that he needs the market and the economy to do well because of midterms. And this is going to be, I think, a buying opportunity for people who have dry powder on the side.
Yeah. I have plenty of dry powder on the side. The only question is the market valuations on a lot of stuff need to correct at least a good, probably between 15 to 20% to get me really, really riled up. And I know people are going to say 15%, are you crazy? Like, dude, 15% is what we got during Liberation Day. S&P dropped quite a bit. So if we get another Liberation Day kind of event, bro, I'm a buyer. I am definitely a buyer.
Sounding like me, what I said an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, by the way, someone said Chris bought a house. I did not buy the house. We actually did not go through with it. We had an inspection report done that was very thorough. Let me just show you guys some of the findings.
I don't know if you should show the inspection report. Why don't you just say that it didn't work out?
It didn't. Yeah.
Only because I don't want you to get in any type of trouble with what you're about to say.
Yeah. Okay. So we found out that the backyard, the deck had
Chris,
termites.
Before you go further,
yeah,
I want to make sure that nobody can come at you with anything.
No, no, no. I can't. I'm not gonna disclose any address
Okay.
or nothing like that. But
Okay.
so number one, the deck that we had, it has termite damage. The framing around the windows had evidence of termite damage. The kitchen floor had termite damage. Now the place has a termite bond in place, which means that a lot of these repairs could be taken care of. But then there was issues around finding some mold around some of the vents, right, which required remediation. There was a lot of the what are they called? Like the foundation had previously had cracks on it. They repaired it, they did a decent job on it. But the problem was that termite thing, and it's bad. Like I have never bought. Well, first of all, I've never had like bought a home itself, right? So I've always lived in condos, always had condos. This is the first time I'm buying a home in a like a single family home. And the one thing is, I'm not ready for the maintenance that comes with owning a termite home. Like I could deal with like roof repairs. I could deal with replacing water heaters and furnaces and all that. I've dealt with that before, but in terms of trying to deal with that, it's pretty bad. And then at the same time, 5 years on, if I wanted to, like, let's say, sell this home, I couldn't sell it because, or at least the pool of buyers would shrink significantly. So even if, let's say, I had some sort of life event and I needed to move somewhere, and I have to sell, dude, the minute someone sees the termite thing in disclosure, it would have tanked the deal. The sad part is the termite portion was not in the disclosure, which is really bad. Like I was a little bit upset by that too, because I was like, come on, man, like there's no way y'all didn't know that you had this issue. There were termite traps along the house, but I've never seen a termite trap. I don't know what the hell they look like. Well, my inspector, like when he was doing a walk around with us, he kind of explained everything. Like, oh, look, these are termite traps. He went under the deck and he literally took like a video and showed it to us. Like he literally just took a like a pen and just pressed, and literally like you could see the wood just go. So yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the house was beautiful, but I'm sure that there's something in the works.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the amount of money that we were going to put towards this was going to be so substantial. Even my realtor was like, "Look, man, your budget is good enough to the point where you don't have to buy a resale home. Like, you could probably, if you're willing to accept less square footage, just buy like a new build, and possibly even something a little bit older that doesn't necessarily need nearly as much maintenance." So I was like, "Yeah, that's a good point." So while the home itself was very beautiful, the location was amazing, the square footage was phenomenal, and even the lot size was amazing. Like there was so many positives behind the home, but at the same time, when you look at it in terms of how much work would have gone into making it something that we would have liked to call home, it would have been pretty extensive. And then at the same time, I like, my wife was telling me, it's like, I don't know if I could sleep at night here. So we said no. We let the house go. We were just we had that. And then, believe it or not, we actually got a call this morning saying, well, how much would you like to offer in terms of like a discount to get to be interested? And I was like, there's no amount of money that I want. Like I told my wife, I said, hey, listen, what do you think? Like, should we ask for X amount of dollars less to get all this remediation done? She's like, screw that. Even if they remediated everything and fixed up everything, I wouldn't feel comfortable sleeping in the place. And at that point I was like, and my wife is like super, super anti-bug. Like we get the exterminator to come 4 times a year just to just check up on things. And I always tell her, like, it's a waste of money. I've never seen a bug. She's like, I don't care. I don't ever want to see like a single roach or anything. So I was like, okay, fine. We'll get your exterminator. And so they always come, they do all the preventative stuff, which is fine. It's Georgia. You're going to deal with, bugs. It's not, it's not the end of the world. But she was so anti that. And it was just, I was like, okay. I mean, at the end of the day, she's the one that, controls the the mental welfare of this relationship. I could deal with anything. She is not the type that would deal with it. In which case, the entire time I would have been listening to this for forever. And I'm like, bro, there's no amount of money that discount that's gonna get that peace of mind. So I was like, yeah, screw it. Let's keep looking. So yeah.
Well, I am sure something is gonna come out of this. Happens for a reason, and listen, it's problems that you don't need to deal with in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, like, you know, we did not go into this thinking that we didn't have any work ahead of us. Like, we knew, like, look, the furnaces, they needed to be replaced. Totally understand that. The water heaters were, you know, about 15 years old, which usually they top out around 10 years. Sometimes they can go a little bit longer. So we understood we had to replace that. The roof was in good like, it was in okay condition. I wouldn't say good, but even that was hitting about 15 to, like, they didn't even know the age of the roof because they bought it. They bought it in, I think, like an auction or something a while ago, and so they didn't know the exact age of the roof. There was a little bit of pitting. There wasn't like a lot, but traditionally roofs go at 20 to 25 years. So
Yep.
within like a few years, maybe like 2 or 3 years, we would have had to replace the roof. And if you guys know, like, the bigger the home, the bigger the size of the roof, but then also, like, the way that roofing works is that depending on how big of a slant you have, it costs a certain amount of money. So that would have had to be, you know, put in, like, replaced. And then the windows were original to like 1990. So if you're trying to get like newer windows that are double and I think sometimes even triple paned that are more energy efficient, those are rather expensive. So it seemed like this was one of those houses that could have been, it was a very beautiful home. They really did a great job doing the inside, like, in terms of aesthetics, but it would have been a money pit, you know?
Yeah. Houses always are money pits. You just want with the least amount of problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Chris, I got 13 minutes. I want your take on this. Do you watch The Compound and Friends?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Did you see this week's episode?
I didn't know.
Okay. So I'm halfway through it. I saw this. I want to see what your opinion is. These lowlifes are, and I think JC's awesome, are trying to convince you that gambling on dumb shit is the same as investing. They even let you do it in the same account for now. Bad companies are pivoting to these prediction markets out of desperation. The whole thing is a fade. What do you think about that? Do you think the prediction market should be allowed inside of brokerage/bank accounts?
I mean, this is where I'm a little bit, you know, you're always gonna have two sides to an opinion, right? Like, I'm a person, but at the same time I'm an investor, and I also am, I'm hopefully I'm an ethical and moral person, and each side of me, like, pull, you know, like the devil on your shoulders and then the angel on your shoulders. So in terms of raw gambling, that moral part of it agrees with that person, saying, look, I don't think the average person should be allowed to lose their money in such a quick way, because at the end of the day, the odds are usually stacked up against you. But that's your traditional gambling, right? So if you look at something like roulette is really stacked against you. With the prediction markets, there's some level of edge that you can develop because there's not a lot of house advantage that's out there, right? It's literally less like two people betting against each other, with the market maker taking a small cut regardless of whatever the outcome is, right? So I think it's more of an educated guess. So is this honestly like super hardcore gambling? I don't think so. You know, like, the other thing is, like, let's say me and you were friends, right? Let's say we bet on a Super Bowl game, right? Does that mean you have a gambling addiction? I have a gambling addiction? No, we kind of bet on a Super Bowl game between two friends, right? So this pretty much just connects two different people who are not friends and just acts as a middleman. So I think of this as people will understand the risks of these things. And then the other side of my brain is like, well, there's already this gamification of investing that's happening where people think that you can get rich overnight. And this just kind of adds to the fuel to the fire, where people think that, you know, making money in the market is easy. And at the same time, you can do this. And there's that bridge between investing and gambling is getting eroded by the day, right? I mean, you can already see it with people saying, you know what, I'm going to buy $1,000 of a meme stock, hoping that it goes to the moon, right? So that's still gamble. That's considered gambling. So that wall that usually existed between investing and gambling, by the day, it's getting narrower and narrower. So, and a lot of the reason why it's getting narrower is because just how easy it is to use these applications. So any mode of application usage that gets there, in my opinion, gets people to take more risks than they should. And this is where I don't know. I really don't want to take a side on this, because I still believe in, everyone's ability to make their own choices. But at the same time, it's kind of like alcohol and tobacco. Like, it's not my job to police your alcohol and tobacco consumption, right? But at the same time, do I think it's detrimental to society that alcohol and tobacco can ruin lives? Absolutely. I don't think drinking crazy amounts is good, nor do I think smoking is great either. But it's not my job to police you. Now, I do have an opinion as a person who is part of this society, where I think that we should put barriers on the number of people allowed to, have free reign on something that purely is a vice. So I don't know. I'm a little bit, I don't know. I don't know how to have an opinion on this one, to be honest with you, Stephen.
Yeah, here's how I'm looking at this. I'm not sure that, and I'll use Robinhood as an example. I'm not sure that classifying Robinhood as a bad company that's getting into prediction markets, et cetera, is necessarily the way to go. I would say that I do not want SoFi to get into prediction markets. The reason being that separation of church and state, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. I want SoFi as a bank to uphold a very strong reputation and not get a reputation of being a path for gambling. Now, I'm with you. On one side, I don't care what people do with their money, and I think it's ridiculous to tell people what they can and they can't do. And I understand that having everything under one house, everything in one app just streamlines everything, and it makes it easier. You don't have to do transfers; they'll draw right from your account. If it's legal, it's the same thing I feel about Altria. I don't smoke, but if it's legal, who am I to say if they should be in business or not? Now, I have no problem with it. I'm also not invested in Robinhood. I'm hoping that SoFi does not get into it and they just stick with crypto options, that type of stuff. I would hate to see them as a bank have prediction markets in there. So I don't have a problem with it, but I wouldn't necessarily want it to be an investment that I'm in if it's a bank. So
the one thing that I think would be a bigger problem for the prediction markets is that the chances of it being manipulated are a lot higher. So as an example, imagine right now you're a football player, like you're a college football. Someone says, hey, listen, if you throw this game, I'll give you $100,000, right?
Happens a lot.
In the past, it wasn't necessarily, it's not easy to do that. But dude, if you're an 18-year-old kid, you're playing for a team, this is your last year, and the chances are that, hey, this could be a payoff day for you. People are vulnerable. People can do that. In which case now you've got the incentive structure built in to do not so nice things.
Where I believe it happens a lot? D3 men's basketball.
You think so?
D3. Oh yeah, D3. Who the hell's looking? And here's the thing: it's not D1. So D3. If a college player shaves by 2 or 3 points, what the hell?
Yeah, no one's going to notice.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that shit happens more than what everybody believes. I really do.
Yeah. No, it's one of those sad realities that, like I said, prediction markets can definitely serve a purpose to allow people to express their opinions in a way that lets them profit monetarily. But at the same time, is it one of those things that we need as a society to make it better, or do you think it just makes it worse? In which case, in my opinion, I don't think that, like, I think the world was better off without prediction markets. And that's just my opinion. I don't have an opinion whether people should use prediction markets or not, but I thought the world was okay without it, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it improves the world. I just think that gambling is something that's always going to happen. Right now, we're making it where there's other ways to, because at the end of the day, prediction markets are gambling, my opinion. It's either going to happen or it's not. Like, what's the difference between me predicting an event is going to happen or gamble that the Knicks are going to win? It's the same thing, in my opinion. Now, I don't mind that these things are up there, but at the same time, I don't think you're ever getting rid of gambling. I just think it should be housed in a separate thing than finance companies. That's my own opinion on it.
Yeah.
But let's Chris and I are going to do a show tonight at 9:00. I have to go out for a little bit. We're going to be talking about
What's with all the people asking the same damn question? Like, are you all just copying each other's comment and just saying, Steven, you're a SoFi bull. Matt, you pick SoFi. Like, Chris, do you have opinion? Do you have a position in SoFi? Is that like real or is that just like a spam bot?
I don't know. I wasn't answering it. Look, Noto's going to speak in 2 weeks. They're going to give updated guidance. I'm not going to give any estimates. We're going to do it on Friday night next week. I haven't built them out, so I can't give an estimate. We're doing a show at 9 tonight. We're going to be going over 2 things. One, some undervalued plays that look interesting. And 2, how to protect profits and generate income off of them. So I think it's going to be an interesting show tonight. So we'll be on at 9. Chris, any last words before we get going?
No, I gotta figure out how to do this Bose thing because someone is calling me right now. So I'm getting
okay. I have to go anyway.
Hey, Sachin, can I call you back? I'm on a stream. Sorry. All right. Bye. Okay, there we go. Call ended. Say something, Steven, so it connects back.
Say something, Steven, so it connects back.
Damn it, I can't hear nothing. What the hell? Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
All right. So
all right. Yeah.
I have to get going. We will continue at 9 with those topics, and we will see you then.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then.
All right. Have a good afternoon, everyone. See you at 9 p.m.